warm welcome to our podcast, Meet the Expert in Sport Management. This is your podcast about topics in sport management and economics and in sport governance and politics. We will always have a look at ethical issues. This podcast is a cooperation between the Johannes Gutenberg University in Mainz and the German Olympic Academy DOA. Our topic today is, can we give a FIFA World Cup 2022 to Qatar? Our guest is Dr. Gerald Fritz. He is director of the German Olympic Academy. Before that, he did his PhD at Florida University and completed it in Mainz. He studied about the fan clubs of sport federations. For 3 years, he was a professor at the University of Applied Management in Berlin. He was working for 5 years in Qatar, building up the marketing of the Qatar's Stars League. Therefore, he knows a lot about the country and the culture. He also managed several sport tournaments and football tournaments in Qatar and is related to the sport sector there. He was working before with the German Football Federation, the German Motorcycling Federation and American Football NFL in Europe, doing the marketing of Frankfurt Galaxy. I'm very happy to have you here, Gerald Fritz, to our podcast. Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, it's nice to be here with you, Holger.
Okay, then let's start right away with the first question. That in Belarus, the Ice Hockey World Championships as well as the Pentathlon World Championships were withdrawn from the state or at least postponed to a date sometime in the future. And international federations tend now to take back their events when they had given it to a country. Do you think that Qatar also should be taking away the FIFA Football World Cup or not?
This is a good question. I think we see in Qatar a different situation. First of all, in Belarus, we have the people on the streets and they demonstrate for their right. Lukashenko is behaving or is a dictator, and they oppose him, and they want to have the people in place as a political leader they have voted for. In Qatar, we don't see something similar. There is no revolt, no uprising against the government. So, of course, we don't have a democracy compared to our Western understanding, but we see that the people live together in a country that is multi-ethical. We have 85% of population that comes from all over the world. So it's a country where you find the various people, the various interests, the various traditions, the various religions, and they live all peacefully together.
Mm-hmm. That's true. It's a different situation, but still, Qatar is a very small nation, and the FIFA Football World Cup is a very, very big event. So what can be a motivation for FIFA, or why do we give such big events to such small countries?
I think we have, first of all, a big family when it comes to the football family. We have more than 200 nations under the roof of FIFA, and they all have a desire to host a big-time event. Some of them lack the infrastructure or the knowledge. They don't have the knowledge or the financial resources. But Qatar has proven over the last years that they are capable to organize these events. They have the financial resources, they have the manpower, they have the technology. They're working very closely with FIFA, so I'm sure they would be able to organize a successful World Cup. The question is, as you said, Holger, it's a small country. And here we have to think a little bit closer. The last World Cup in Russia had huge distances. Also in Brazil, South Africa, where you had to travel. You had to take the plane to get from one venue to the other. But this also offers some new opportunities. Watching a couple of games the same day, having short distances, and when we think into the direction of sustainability, making a footprint towards carbon dioxide emission minimization, then we definitely have to consider those goals.
Yeah, that's true. But still, one argument of many football fans and old football nations is certainly, do we have a football tradition in Qatar? I hear this argument often. You can say, yes, but yesterday is yesterday, and today people play football there. But is this really the right thing to give it to a nation where football is, at least to our knowledge, not this big that we became aware of this nation?
Well, here I have a clear position. Football has also to do with development. And we have in Qatar a young generation of 25 years and younger that makes up 50% of the population. So why should they be excluded? They are FIFA. They are football crazy. They are they are football nuts, and they want to also be part of it. So let's give them a chance, and let's develop these markets as well. You know, I have worked in marketing before. It's not only up on us, the traditional football markets in the world, to have the exclusive right to organize world championships. Not at all. No, it's a football family that has to be also engaged here, and we have to bring football to new places.
Yes, I totally agree, as it is the Arabic nations getting it, and for the first time. And there are 400 million Arabics and young people that also like to have football in their region. But still, what I also hear, and this is why we have our discussion tonight, is that some nations think their teams should boycott the World Cup, and then they would show Qatar that it was a wrong decision to bid, or FIFA that it was a wrong decision to give it to there. But what could be an argument that Germany and Brazil and others should just not go there to play football? Is this realistic?
It's completely unrealistic. I think it's nuts. And I'll tell you why. As you know, I've worked there for 5 years. I've seen how the Qatar Stars League has also shifted in their approach. They were not giving old players in the last days of their career the chance to play there in the clubs for a lot of money. No, they were very eager to have professional players from abroad to help their young players to develop, to become more professional, to lift the level of performance. And of course, due to AFC requirements, there is no chance to have too many foreign players. These are limited in numbers, and in the end, and it doesn't matter where you are, in which continent, you want to win, you want to become champion, and therefore you want to go for the best and also for those who can help you to make you better. in this regards, I think it makes no sense to boycott, and it would also not be appropriate. We find when it comes to the infrastructure of the football tournament, the best environment which is out there in the world. State-of-the-art stadia, perfect grass, turfs, the best infrastructure when it comes to the training sites. We see at the training pitches of the Aspire Academy, every year it attracts the best teams from Europe, from the Premier League, from the Bundesliga, from the French League, teams like PSG, like Bayern München, Manchester United. They go there for one purpose: to make use of this great environment to prepare them for the second rounds in their domestic countries.
Mm-hmm. In recent times, we had a lot of discussion in the media when it came to Belarus in particular, that some people said we should go there in order to change the world, to bring the media there and to put pressure on the current situation and system to turn to a better. And then we have the other people that say we shouldn't go there because we shouldn't give the platform to the rulers of that nation. Yes. What do you think regarding to Qatar? Is it that we can change many things through the FIFA Football World Cup, or should we better not have given it to them? Not talking to take it away, but to say, okay, we should have given it to somewhere else and not giving it to Qatar to run their soft power strategy.
Well, it in the end depends why it was given to them. And you have evaluation committees who have visited all these applicants, all these candidates. And to my knowledge, Qatar was not the best applicant. Yeah, you have like a catalog where you have to fulfill certain goals, but Qatar was not the top one, was not in the ranking at first place. So why did the executive committee of FIFA still decided for Qatar? This is something we don't know. And of course, that decision is very challenging because we really face issues in regards to the extreme, to the harsh conditions we find in Qatar, weather conditions, and in regards to the non-existing infrastructure, and not just the sports infrastructure, because you need at least 8 stadia that fulfill the requirements of FIFA, even in a country that has not even 3 million inhabitants. And we are talking here about capacities of 40,000 seats plus. So the main stadium in Lusail will have even 80,000 seats. The question is what will happen after the World Cup, because you can be sure there is no use in the aftermath. There will be white elephants if you don't have a clear strategy for the time after the World Cup, what to do with those stadia. The domestic league attracts on average not more than 5,000 spectators. So what is a need for a 40,000 seater plus? This has to be approached, and it must be also a goal of FIFA to leave here a footprint of sustainability in that country. So you can't not just say, okay, we have these requirements, you have to fulfill them, otherwise you are not able to organize. No, it has to be appropriate, and if they decide for a place like Qatar, which is small in size, then you have to come up with relevant strategies to deal with it.
Isn't it that Qatar had a strategy on legacy and also changed the master plan a little? For example, they have now 1 stadium less, and they promise to transport some stadiums into developing countries to develop their football, as long as they are temporary, certainly. And isn't it also a strategy to have the Asian Cup and Asian Games in the future so that they need, again, big stadiums? I wonder if they need 8 or 7 stadiums, 40,000 seaters. Probably not for these events, but still is an event strategy. At least it looks like that.
Well, and we have from that perspective, why is Qatar doing it? And we know that based on the small size, sport can help them to be visible on the global map. In particular, as they are situated in the or close to the Persian Gulf and have direct access, border access with Saudi Arabia. The region there is politically very tense, and there is a conflict between Saudi Arabia and Qatar when we think about Al Jazeera and reports about the Saudi king's house, and so the Saudis, of course, don't like that, and they don't like that the Qataris have to deal with Iran on the other side, so the big opponent in that balance of power there in the Gulf area. So Qatar, of course, has to find its position, and they figured that sports is a good tool to show the world we are here, and we want to secure our borders and our land, and they are, of course, also afraid to position themselves as a state that has a long-lasting future.
That's interesting. That really sounds that football, and in particular the FIFA Football World Cup, becomes a big playing ball of politics. So here really, as you just explained, politics behind, and it seems that these states use the sport events as a soft power, a strategy to get in the map. Or when we look at China, I mean, China is also getting so many sport events to show to the world that they are a peaceful country, while I think Qatar doesn't want to show that they are peaceful, but they want to show that they are developed and a good partner for business and for tourists, I guess. What is your opinion on this soft power argument that shows why Belarus or Qatar or China, even though they are very different states, use sport events for another purpose than just doing the sports?
Well, I think it's obvious for those states. They need legitimation. And sport is doing something good for them. We have party dictatorships, or we have countries which are far away from what we understand as being a Western democracy, where discrimination of human rights is existing. And if you do sports, that looks good on you, and it also indicates that you are able to organize something big when we talk about mega events, Olympic Games, or a football World Cup. And it also brings people to talk about these positive valued aspects than about the real problem. So yeah, you can say this is a good purpose for your propaganda machinery in the view of those countries. On the other side, these countries have also a lot of money. Some of them have access to oil resources, and they make use of it. And if we consider which countries are willing nowadays to organize mega events, in particular, those countries have the resources and are willing to do that. And we see how difficult it is, especially in our country, to convince people, to make people exciting to apply for Olympic Games. So with all these different topics that are connected, that are not always positive, connected, like gigantism, like corruption, like doping, and inclusion of everybody. We have maybe at the moment other issues that are also very important: education, health, and to spend so much money just for a sporting show. I think the people make a point here to put that into question.
But isn't it that Qatar also wants education and health through these sport events to make people more moving, to learn about sport, and have a lot of education through opening the country, inviting guests, having tourists there, many expats or workers from abroad? That is also a big education initiative, isn't it?
Well, it is, and sport also means education, and sport is part of their national vision 2030. But it's a minor step compared to all these other topics they have, and which are part of the national vision. Education is one of the biggest issues they want to they want to go after, because how can you become an emerging country in such a small time if you are not able to bring your people on an appropriate level of education to run a country from a developing country into, or to move it into a modern country that is dealing with new technology and with new industry after the time of the exploitation of fossil fuels.
That brings me to my last question. If we make an overall poll, or your opinion of everything you heard about Qatar and the FIFA Football World Cup, would you say that overall Qatar is over the years winning in reputation and changes they do in their country through the Football World Cup? Or is it more that people are so skeptical and pessimistic and want to boycott and so on, that it was not a good idea to have the FIFA Football World Cup in Qatar?
Yeah, here I have really mixed feelings because everybody was thinking after the time of Blatter, also FIFA would develop in a different direction with a new president. I can't really see a big change. So I don't know if this is really helpful for Qatar. It shows the rest of the world we can deal with it, but I would say especially the powerhouses in football, they still are not accepting that Qatar will organize the World Cup. So for them, the negative opinions will stick to their minds and will stay, that Qatar is not the appropriate and is not the right host, and that this will be a very artificial World Cup. I think in a different constellation, it would be more helpful for them to organize it. I think it would be really the World Cup of the Arab world if we would have more hosts than just Qatar.
Okay, and we will definitely see that in 2022 when we see the football on TV and see the atmosphere, because then this is the main exposure to the world. Okay, let's come to an end with 5 questions. As usual, I ask you 5 questions and you have no time to think about it. Right away answer what comes top of mind when you hear question number 1. What place will Qatar achieve in the World Cup 2022?
They will make it to the quarterfinals.
Second question. What was the most exciting sporting experience you had in your life?
The Ironman Hawaii in 1991.
Were you running there?
I was participating, and I'm still not knowing why I have done it. Because other people be there for holidays and enjoy the sun and beach, and I tortured myself in the volcano desert.
And what place did you achieve at the end?
I don't know, I think
Not
not the last one. Yeah, I was in the middle of the pack.
Oh, that was good. Question number 3. What was the most weird experience in organizing a sport event?
In a market like Qatar, you never knew how things would end up. For example, I remember it was I think one of the Emiri Cups, and we had little flashlights in the stadium at night, and you should do some arm swings with them, and then some people started to throw them into the direction of the field of play, and everybody was copying it because they thought it's part of the event, and of course it was dangerous for those who sat in the lower ranks, and it became such a dynamic. I was really perplexed how quickly these things can turn from a nice idea to a dangerous outcome.
Okay, next question is, I know you are collecting items of sport teams and sport events. What is the most valuable item in your collection?
Oh, I say it's one of the original jerseys of the Frankfurt Galaxy because every player only had 2 jerseys, and these are, of course, unicards, very rare jerseys, and I was a member of the last season here in Frankfurt before the league was closed down. So this is not just when it comes to the material, but it has an idealistic meaning to me, and is a great memory of the good old days of Frankfurt Galaxy.
What country would you love to travel most by your heart after the Corona crisis is over?
Australia. I have never been to Oceania, and I really would like to go there because I also like nature, and I think this is a great country to experience because I've never been there, and I like also the mentality of the people who seem to be very relaxed and cool.
And that's what we are also doing now. Thank you very much, Gerald, for
My pleasure. Yeah, it was fun. Thank you very much, Holger. It was fun as always, and looking forward for your next podcast.